Hello, and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Linda, and I'm pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube live or later, and invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are able to attend live, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience, including music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes the Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in-person gatherings every month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at uofva.org for all the details. Our message today comes from our minister, Reverend Cheryl Fair. And now here's Reverend Cheryl.
Thank you, Linda, and welcome everyone. Welcome everyone who is in the Zoom room with us right now, and welcome also those folks who are watching on YouTube, whether you're watching live or later. Your energy and presence is appreciated, and we are so happy you're here with us. Our broadcast date today is February 25th, and I wanted to make note that something special is coming this week. 2024 is a leap year, and there are 29 days in February. So, as we know, here's a little bit about leap year, just to warm us up here today. A leap year happens every 4 years and was created in 45 BC by Julius Caesar as a way to balance out the inconsistencies in the calendar. So we can all thank Julius Caesar for straightening out our calendar this week. And here's a little quote. I got it from the website Spiritual Passages. The writer is Vera Nazarian, and it's from the Perpetual Calendar of Inspiration. Here's what she says. Leap day is an ephemeral ghost, a strange, amazing day that comes only once every 4 years. For the rest of the time, it does not exist. In mundane terms, it marks a leap in time when the calendar is adjusted to make up for extra seconds accumulated over the preceding 3 years due to the rotation of the Earth. A day of temporal tune-up. But this day holds another secret. It contains one of those truly rare moments of delightful transience and light uncertainty that only exist on the razor edge of things along a buzzing plane of quantum possibility. A day of unlocked potential. Will you or won't you? Should you or shouldn't you? Use Leap Day to do something daring and extraordinary. Take a chance and shape a different pattern in your personal cloud of probability. So that's a little bit on Leap Day, which happens on Thursday, February 29th. So now we're back to our usual activities here at Unity of Fredericksburg. Our annual theme for 2024 is well-being. And our focus for February has been and is for today social well-being, because as human beings, we are inherently social. We gain a sense of belonging and security in groups. We have a built-in need to connect. And in this modern age, we can connect in different kinds of ways than we have in the past, like we're doing using technology right now. But modern technology has also given us opportunities that actually isolate us. You know, we can travel from one place to another by ourselves in a car. We can live on our own, many of us. So it's essential that we pay attention and make the effort to connect with others, because isolation has actually been shown to be a greater threat to our health as humans than a lot of common diseases, heart disease or cancer, that isolation is actually more dangerous than smoking. So it's really important that we connect with others. And as we connect with others, sometimes things go wonderfully, sometimes there are challenges. So, messages this month have been based on teachings from this book. It's called All for Love. The author is Matt Kahn. The subtitle is The Transformational Power of Holding Space. So, we've been talking about how holding space can help us navigate all of those challenging moments of relationships of all kinds in our lives. So, really quick, let's just remind ourselves, what is holding space? So, simply put, holding space means showing up for someone, being fully present without judgment. So there's the catch right there. That's a little difficult for us to manage because our human brains are programmed to make judgments and sort things out. So it really does take a lot of effort and presence and attention for us to hold space. And it's particularly important to practice holding space in a culture that feels really polarized and conflicted. It's an essential tool for us to practice this year in the United States, which is an election year, right? So, if you find yourself falling into a pattern of judging or criticizing the, as they say in politics, the other side of the aisle, I suggest you consider the practice of holding space as a way to soothe the turmoil in the outer world and in your own consciousness. So, if we can find ways to hold space with others, even when they appear to be in opposition with us, then we can expand our own sense of well-being and expand that energy of well-being in the world at large. So, our author of this book, All for Love, Matt Kahn is his name. He guides us through lessons by inspiring us to develop certain attributes in how we show up. So the attributes we're looking at today are appreciation, bravery, and forgiveness. So starting with appreciation. So appreciation is all about witnessing every person, including yourself, as the divine being that they are. In unity, we sometimes talk about the Christ, not Jesus in particular, but the Christ consciousness, which is connected to that web of infinite potential that we sometimes call God or the universe. And that when we are in that consciousness is expressing through each and every one of us. So the more that we can appreciate others as the divine beings that they are, and the more that we can recognize ourselves as the divine beings that we are, connected to and expressing the goodness of God here in this moment, we are the arms and the eyes and the hands of this energy of the universe. The more that we can focus on that, the more that we can enhance our well-being. So, and the more we can be in this energy of appreciating that in others and in ourselves. So here's a little bit from the book where Matt Kahn talks about how he learned to develop his own sense of appreciation. He says, the more I led with appreciation, the more settled I felt in my body, the more peace I sensed throughout the world, and the more connected I felt to others, no matter our differences in opinion or how they chose to see me. Now, do you think this is an easy process? I would say no. It's something we really have to work at and practice with. So, and part of that again, is because our human brains, our egos, are programmed to see things that are different than us as threatening. So here's another thing that Matt has to say in his book. So when your ego dislikes, it can imagine it has been wronged, especially when someone behaves differently from how you usually see them. This can trigger the trauma response of fear in you. Even when you're around a stranger who acts out in ways you may not expect or enjoy witnessing, it is natural for the ego to shut down as a primal form of protection against the threat of the unknown. So, this is why it's something that we really have to practice, because our human brain is going to react in a certain way. And as we, are talking about, our spiritual practice is to pause and notice and connect with the divine in all of the moments we're going through. So even when you disagree or find a person to be wrong, it's still possible to recognize them as divine beings, hold space for them without judgment, and yes, extend appreciation in your regard for them. So one of the things our author says is, while holding space doesn't assume you must be everyone's best friends, you can soften inner rigidity when you become aware of the suffering and despair others endure, whether or not they have yet to recognize the survival mode that they operate from. Now, here's an important reminder. When we're talking about holding space, we are not here to suggest that you must engage with others when you are feeling unsafe or genuinely, feeling like your life or your person is being threatened. What we're asking and suggesting is that you open your heart to the larger picture, where you're able to hold space for everyone on a spiritual level. So that doesn't mean you need to be face to face dealing with people. This can be done from afar in the spiritual realm. It doesn't have to be done face to face. So just take a breath right here, and just breathe in that possibility of holding space for someone that you really find to be wrong or threatening to you or whatever, that it is possible to recognize that they've been through trauma, what you're seeing is a result of their trauma, and you can just hold space with that. And that's a spiritual practice, right? So, another angle to this exploration of appreciation, our author says, your tendency to criticize often reflects how much unprocessed pain and unresolved fear you have yet to address. So have you ever had that sense of observing something and really what you're seeing is something in yourself, in someone else's behavior? So take a breath right here. Listen to this one more time. Your tendency to criticize often reflects how much unprocessed pain and unresolved fear you have yet to process. So our author suggests that judging the actions you hate only creates more time and space for these egregious patterns to remain active. So here he is saying that as soon as you dive into judging, labeling the other, oh, I can't believe that he, she says that, does that. As soon as you're in that space, you're actually creating space for that behavior, for that way of being to exist, because you're engaging with it. You're giving it your attention, right? Because our regard, our attention has energy. So, one more time, let me read this quote. Judging the actions you hate only creates more time and space for those patterns to remain active in others. Take a breath right here. Just take that in. All right. So what we want to, keep reminding ourselves is that our regard, our thoughts, our feelings about things has energy, right? And how you're showing up with that energy makes a difference. Your regard has energy. So let's work on making sure it's a regard of appreciation, right? So another thing that our author reminds us of is that people's words and actions reflect where they are in their healing journey and are never a reflection of your personal worth. So, how many of us have been in that moment where we find ourselves taking something personally? Anyone? It happens, right? So, this is another aspect of holding space that we can take a breath. We can realize that what's going on with their behavior, their action, their words has to do with where they are on their healing journey. It doesn't necessarily have to do with us. So when we recognize that anyone who's exhibiting hurtful behavior has themselves been hurt in the past. Now, again, we're not condoning interacting with people where you might actually get hurt, physically hurt, and holding space doesn't have to happen in person. It's ultimately an activity of consciousness in the spiritual realm, accomplished by us in our divine nature, where we recognize the divine nature in another and, affirm that we see them as what they are meant to be. So if you can make the shift from holding space to actually extending appreciation, that's even better. So even when people are being harsh with you, one of the things our author suggests, he often has like phrases that he suggests we use, is one thing he says you can say is, I appreciate you sharing this, whatever the person is sharing. He does tell some stories about when he first started using that phrase, which was when he was in high school and he was experiencing some bullying. And when he started saying, I appreciate you sharing this, after somebody said, hey, you're short or something like that. And he said it really disarmed people. It really kind of took the charge off of the moment. So one of the things that's important for us to remember is that extending a regard of appreciation is not the same as agreeing with someone, right? So saying thank you for sharing is not the same as agreeing. It's not the same as liking what they're doing. It's just recognizing that they have a right to say how it is they're feeling and just let them do it. So our author gives us a couple of suggestions of how to practice the attribute of appreciation. So he says, number one, whenever judgment arises of yourself or others, pause and find something worth appreciating. Like, hey, that person has a lot of energy, don't they? A lot of enthusiasm for their position, whatever it is that you can come up with. He suggests, and this won't be a surprise to you, starting an appreciation journal to document things you appreciate about yourself and about others you find challenging. So, I would say just love on them. Loving on people is an amazing energy that you can extend. Try saying something nice to someone who irritates you, right? And try making it sincere. If someone's like really coming at you about something, you say, hey, I really like that tie. Or something like that. So anyway, that's our exploration of appreciation. And the next topic we're going on to today is bravery. So you may have noticed as we've gone through this month of talking about these attributes shared by Matt Kahn, that he does have a unique perspective on words that we are like, oh, I know what that means. I know what bravery means. But let's look at what Matt Kahn says about bravery. So he's talking about bravery as the kind of bravery you can cultivate to overcome the innate desires of your own ego. Say what? So let's look at that. Our ego, our human nature, wants to feel in control, wants to think it knows better, wants to feel important, wants to feel needed. The ego, the human brain, very quick to judge whatever's going on and evaluate it as tragic or unfair or unacceptable, or it could be something good as well. So the bravery that Matt Kahn would like for us to consider and embrace is the capacity to accept and be at peace with what is. Whatever is happening in the outer world, in your outer life, instead of jumping right in, labeling things, can we learn to hold space with what is? So, on a spiritual level, this is all about using our pivotal consciousness. We've talked about that recently. We are 100% human all the time and 100% divine all the time. So, the teaching that came through from Jesus is we are not to judge based on outer appearances. He was really direct and really clear about that, right? But we are to use right judgment. And that's that pivot from everything you see and evaluate with your human brain to what we know is true in consciousness. And that has to do with the power of life, the power of love, the power of faith, that all of those things are the truth. So, the bravery that Matt Kahn refers to comes to life as we pivot our focus from the anguish and frustration of our outer lives toward that inner truth. And when we use this attribute of bravery, we're holding space for our own human nature, for our own ego. So let me read a little bit about what he has to say here about this. When not getting your way is no longer proof of bad luck, a karmic setback, evidence of low vibration, or any other kind of judgment, you will leap across the threshold of victimhood into a renewed depth of empowerment. All that is required is a willingness to be brave, even while holding space for the aspects of self that know no other way but to be afraid. So, the phrase that Nat Kahn suggests we use when we're practicing this attribute of bravery is, if you're speaking to someone else, no matter how you feel, you can do this. Or for yourself, no matter how I feel, I can do this. So take a breath and let's practice that. All right. For someone else, let's practice saying, no matter how you feel, you can do this. And say it for yourself. No matter how I feel, I can do this. Now, one important thing that Matt Kahn points out is that since the ego wants to feel in control, when discomfort arises, the ego will guide you to run away or disengage. Have you ever noticed that? Like you're trying something new, you have all the best of intentions, but it feels uncomfortable and you just give up, right? So our author asks, what if by avoiding discomfort, you preserve the ego's best hiding spot? So he suggests to us that the intensity that you feel in certain situation actually comes from the ego's grip on wanting to feel in control. And if you let go of that need to feel in control and just be present with what is, then there's no longer anything to fear. Interesting thing to think about, right? So that's Matt Kahn on bravery. And our last topic for today is forgiveness. And I'm sure, my friends, that we all understand the cleansing power of forgiveness. So And we see the power of holding space with that attribute of forgiveness for ourselves or for others. So let me read you something here from our author, Matt Kahn, on forgiveness. Through the attribute of forgiveness, you allow any grudge, hatred, or judgment towards someone who hurt you to dissolve as you become more aware of the pain they carry. Now, as you read these words, it's common for the ego to think, even if I saw how much pain they carry, I would still never forgive them. This is actually true, since the ego tries to obtain control by being in charge of forgiving. But the ego itself is not the one who forgives. Rather, it's the immaculate grace of the universe forgiving someone on your behalf as a new level of consciousness expands within you. So, isn't that an important point, my friends? We think about the things that have happened, the things that have been done or not done, said or not said, in terms of our outer human lives. Who said what, who did what? But it's actually not the business of our human nature to do this level of forgiving. It's the business of our divine nature. And when we get in those moments of trying to work on forgiveness, and I'm not saying that we don't want to work on that in our outer human lives, but what we get tied up in and just uncomfortable about is, do I have to talk with them? What will I say? What will they say? What difference will it make? And we may be impatient about it, but forgiveness on a soul level is not something that we can rush, right? Sometimes it's stretches beyond lifetimes. So we want to be sure to not put a human timeline on forgiveness. We want to be in that space of seeing the divine expression within everyone, including ourselves. And as we do that, we create space for healing and forgiveness. And when we are brave enough to hold space with what is, whatever it is that's happening for ourselves and for others, we create space for forgiveness and healing. I have one more thing to read to you before we move into our time of meditation to wrap up all of this wisdom from the author Matt Kahn. Maybe from this renewed space holding perspective, it's okay that everything is exactly the way it is. Maybe it's okay that people hold grudges until they don't. Maybe it's okay that everything happened exactly as it did. Maybe it's okay that nothing has to be okay for any reason. Maybe it's okay to not be okay and to notice how the beauty of evolution still unfolds with perfection, no matter what you like or dislike along the way. So I encourage you to work with this quality of holding space and being content and comfortable with what is as you connect with the wonders of that which we call God, the universe that is present all the time in every moment and every circumstance. So that's it for my talk today. And what we're going to do now is shift gears as we move into our time of meditation. So we are in the season of Lent, and in Unity, what we do in the season of Lent is do what I like to call consciousness maintenance, where we're working on letting go of thoughts and feelings in consciousness and planting seeds for a new way of being. So as we begin our space of meditation, I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths I'm going to read to you from Unity's booklet, Lent booklet for 2024, that's called Let Go, Let God. The statements of release and affirmations for the past week. And once I complete those, we will just move right into the silence together for a few minutes. Here we go. I let go of limitation. I release the weight of limitation and soar beyond every obstacle with confidence and grace. I let go of stress. I give thanks for every opportunity to grow and evolve. I let go of resistance. I hold a supportive thought of truth. I let go of self-pity. I choose to release self-pity and embrace forgiveness. I let go of anxiety. I am centered in what is, the absolute goodness that is mine right now. I let go of pessimism. I trust the divine mind in me to show me the blessing. And now we'll move into the silence for a few minutes together. And as we begin to bring our awareness back to the current moment, we continue to feel this energy of letting go of patterns that we have in our thoughts, in our beliefs, in our feelings and attitudes that no longer serve our highest good. We see this activity of releasing happening with ease, and in its place, claiming truth, claiming the truth of the power of love, power of faith, imagination, will, that continuing activity of the power of release as we center ourselves in wisdom and in love. And we are so grateful to be able to come together and share this time in the silence together. We will finish off our time of meditation with an affirmation. And that affirmation is as follows. I'll say it once and then you can repeat it at home a couple of times with me, okay? As I hold space for letting go, I open myself to possibility. Let's say it again. As I hold space for letting go, I open myself to possibility. One more time. As I hold space for letting go, I open myself to possibility. And so it is. Amen. So that's it for me. I'm going to hand it back over to Linda, our service leader.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone, and thank you, Reverend Cheryl, for this awesome program for this month's well-being. And I recommend that you all go back and listen to the previous messages on this topic or any of our topics, certainly with Reverend Cheryl. They're very helpful in developing my well-being. Thank you, Reverend Cheryl. So thank you guys for watching our weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg, and visit our website, uofva.org, to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation, and support our ministry with your financial donation. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.